Right. 3, 2, 1, and welcome once again. Right after Christmas, we're here with Light Bearers Podcast, always bringing that positivity and inspiration, trying to learn new stories and always meeting new people of the everyday walk. And today, our special guest, Mr. Paul Garner. How are you, Paul?
I'm very well, thank you, Jehovah. Very well.
Good, good. And then our other wonderful host, Mr. K. Ola K. How are you today, mate?
Doing great.
And how
Very
how was your holiday, man? Tell me a little bit about your Christmas, mate.
well. We're still on holiday, so it's still ongoing. But the Christmas was good.
Christmas
And
was good.
loads of turkey.
Did your mom come over and make some special food?
No, my mom's not in the country, so but she
Ah,
left me with the turkey, which was already spiced up and everything. So
that's good. How about you, Paul? How was the holidays? What'd you do for the holidays? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, my son came over on Christmas Eve. He stayed with us overnight. He's 36 now, and he's just bought a new house, which is quite local to us. But he's not quite ready to live in yet, so he stayed with us over on Christmas Eve. Then he went. He went to his mother's, my ex-wife, and
Okay.
um, me and my new wife. We had a nice Christmas together with our new dog. We got a dog called Yoki,
Yeah.
yeah,
What
and
I think sorry. Hey,
what kind of dog, mate?
he's a miniature pincer.
Oh, okay. So he's a small dog. Okay,
He's a
great.
small dog. Yes, Kay has
when I
met.
day wasn't it? That's the dog I
Yeah,
met that time.
that's correct. Yes, Kay. He's very fierce, isn't he?
Yeah,
And
He's
yeah, it's
about
pretty. It,
this
it's
he's
height.
this dog. He's
no,
cute.
sorry to interrupt you guys there. Hey, I did hear that you guys hooked up, and I was telling Kay that you and I, Paul and I, we worked out before. He joined one of my
Yeah,
sessions before.
Yes, I did.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we had a really good workout, and so I would tell me how to go. How did it come about you getting together with Kay, Paul? What got you guys?
Well,
What
Kay
what
was
made
saying
it
that.
happen?
Yeah, Kay was saying that he wanted to sell some of his bullworker kit,
Okay.
and I was after an X5, and we agreed a price. And he lives about 50 miles away from me, but it was a nice afternoon out, really. So we went down to meet Kay. I got my X5, which is being used a lot.
Ah,
It's,
uh,
I,
nice.
I've been seeing those. Like you can get some of those on Amazon, and I was wondering. Tell me a little bit about the function of the X5 because I really don't know about it.
Okay, so it's different to a my first bull worker I bought in the 1970s, which is this one, which you've seen before, Jahavari.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it's a heavy, it's a bit rickety,
nice.
but with the old version, the meeting point is here
Mm,
and it compresses. You've got these wires which are
mm.
on there, and with the X5, one of the advantages is that you have these two handles which you can press inwards for some of the
Mm.
exercises. The other thing is it's got these straps which are
Yes.
quite nice to use when you are
And the
pulling
double
sideways.
and the double handle.
You've got a
Mm.
double handle on it as well, so you can actually do this on it as well, so you can use it. And
Ah,
so it's got a
that's
gearing system.
that's pretty cool. Well,
Yeah,
something that just caught my ear right now. You kind of nibbled my earlobe. You said you got the other one, your first one, in
yeah.
the 70s. Exactly what year, mate?
Oh, exactly what year? That's a little bit difficult, but it will be around 76 or
Ah,
77.
76. So I was already born. I was born in 72.
Okay.
And so what turned you on to it, to the bull worker back then? Where did you find it? Because I remember, like, I got into dynamic tension through they you can still find some of the advertisements on the back of the comic books. They used to put them
Right.
in the back of the comic books, and it was like, I can make you big and strong in 7 days or something like that, right?
Exactly.
And
So my journey with Bull Worker is it's very boring up until last January. So I bought this Bull Worker, and you can pay for it on instalments. And I just had a little job at that time, and so I paid for it on instalments in the 1970s because I was a very weedy, skinny boy. Um, and I bought it and then never used it. Um, I then left home at 18. I moved from Leicester, which is where I was born, down to Coventry. I lived in various bedsits as I moved, working in Coventry. And then I bought my first house. It's followed me all through my life. Everywhere I've been, the Bull Worker's been there, but it's never been used. It sat in the attic for all that time, many years. As I moved houses, it came with me. And I used to work for IBM as a IT consultant, and I used to work away from home a lot. So when I worked away from home, I stayed in hotels which had gyms. I never needed, well, I never didn't think of it ever taking my Bull Worker anywhere. So I kept myself pretty fit through the years, but never used the Bull Worker. I left IBM in 2018 and thought, okay, I was just um, spending too much time on the road, too much time in hotels, eating bad food, etc., working long hours, and the more technology you got, the more they used it to make you work. So they give you a car so they can tell you where to go. Yeah, they give you a mobile phone so they can talk to you anytime they want. They give you a laptop so you can work anywhere. And basically, from going in the 70s, where you went to work at 8 o'clock in the morning and you left your office at 5 o'clock at night, to being eventually 24/7 almost, it's crazy. And I thought at the age of 58, nearly 59, driving every day, probably about 60 miles each way to work and doing like 10-hour days was not doing me any good. So I decided to retire. However, I got bored. So the first job I had was a postman. I decided to be a postman, but the postman job was a little bit too much in terms of hours. I really wanted to work about 20 hours a week. So the next job I got was as a delivery driver for a supermarket. Now, I did that for 2 years and I stopped last January. January the 12th was my last shift. When you are a delivery driver, you are loading your van up, which means you're carrying big, well, up to 700 kilograms of shopping. And you're taking it through from the warehouse, from the freezer, from the fridge, and you're loading it up into your van. You're then going out and you are doing probably 14 to 20 drops. And each drop, you're taking these baggages out and you're walking up steps. You are pushing trolleys up steps. About 12,000 to 15,000 steps every shift. As I say, you can typically it's about 600 kilograms we carry, so that's 1.2 ton of shopping you're lifting. Once to lift it, 600 to lift it into the van, then 600 to take it out of the van and deliver it to these shops. Some of the houses are flats, so you're going upstairs. And it was a really, really physical job. I have never been so fit for years. It was really hard work. And I started it at the age of 59, and people go, oh, that's a bit much. But as I say, I've kept myself reasonably fit over the years. And I was really happy in the job because with the virus going about, there's a lot of people out there who were confined to their homes. they were really pleased to see somebody come to the door, especially somebody like me who liked to chat and see how they were, etc., etc. So I was like the jolly delivery man, turning up to these people's houses and how are you doing? You okay? Everything all right? And we were told we shouldn't go into the houses because of the virus. But if you get to a house, it's an old lady or it's a disabled person, and they ask you to take the shopping in, and you don't say no. So I was taking stuff in, and
Yeah.
people knew Paul. Paul was a guy coming, and they used to look forward to me visiting. And I did
Mm.
that until January when I got a really bad cough. It was I thought I got coronavirus,
Mm.
and I was a bit concerned. And my wife has asthma,
Yeah.
Mm.
so we had a conversation, and I decided I was being a little bit too risky for her doing the
Mm.
job. So I did my last shift on January the 12th last year,
Mm.
and I still miss it now. And I don't know whether I can get back to it. 'Cause if once you get in, once you start the job, it
Yes.
takes about 2 months to build up your strength and to actually be able to do it fairly easily.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I'm not sure I want to go through that 2 months again. Also, since when I first started, home shopping wasn't quite so popular,
No.
and we used to get
Now it's
smaller
very popular.
budgets.
We
Yeah, we,
actually we actually did go to the store. It was like an event, you pop in,
yeah,
you put the kids in the back of the station wagon.
yeah,
When
Mhm.
you bought something, it was actually like, wow, we got a
exactly.
tricycle.
Yeah, and it's nice to go around and choose, I think, and see what's on offer and that sort of thing. But because
Yes.
of the virus, people have got very hooked on home
The whole
shopping.
Well,
Yeah, that's right.
not just that. Now that you're saying that, there are a few things that I want to touch on. And since we do come from different times, you come from a time even older than mine, but we have very similar uh generations, you and I. We grew up with similar values and similar appreciations for things, especially when it came to work. Nowadays, like you said, the more technology that we have, it seems like we're working more, but we're not working more with this anymore. We're working more with this, and we're overworking, right?
Yeah,
It was the original intention was, if we can get all these computers and stuff like that, we can lessen the workload and start getting creative and getting that artistic part, that creative part of the human being, and hopefully come about with another renaissance you
yeah,
know
yeah,
but instead it just turned into more of a slave grind.
yeah,
And that's an interesting that you say that. But now that you said that everybody was shopping at home, and Amazon's taking over, whether we like it or not. They already took over, and
yeah,
mom and pops are going under. Yeah, I'd be surprised if we can buy ham and cheese at a store in the next couple of years. And from what I hear, have you seen this, Kay? They're already experimenting with drones and
yes,
little
they are.
robots that are
Yeah,
gonna come to deliver the things to your house.
Yeah, they're
What?
taking
Go ahead,
they're
Kay.
taking activity completely away. You know something. I think it would have been good. It would have been good if human beings were still connected with their natural roots. If human beings were still solid and strong, then the introduction of technology would have been beneficial to us. It would have been
Yes.
something that would have helped us to, like you say, to develop our human creativity and
yeah,
artistic and all that. But because human beings have lost that connection, we're not as connected to the ground as we used to be. We're not as strong. So now,
No.
instead of using the technology as an opportunity to go and do other things, we're now using them as crutches to
Yes.
actually do that we should have been able to do without them.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Well, what do you think about this? What do you see the world when it comes to work wise? Because this corona thing really put a spin on it. There the aspect where people stayed locked up, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then some people lost cash, but human beings, we adapt quickly. Okay, well, we got to get creative on this one. Then suddenly people started doing their things online, like you said, more business,
Yeah.
started shopping going online, but not just shopping, people started making their own businesses online. Let's get creative. Let me put on a show on YouTube or something like that.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
suddenly restrictions are opening up. If you notice in the United States, a lot of people after the lockdowns, when they started going back to work, there have been tons of people just walking away from their jobs. And I said at the beginning, you know what? People are going to get used to it. Yeah, we make less money, but they're going to be at home. They're going to
Yeah.
realize I'm spending time with my family. Guess what? I'm reading books. I'm doing this. And
Yeah,
now people don't want to go to work. What do you think about that, Paul? Tell me a little
Well,
bit your insight.
one of my reasons for going to work was to be social. Um, I enjoyed being with people in the office. There were times in my career where I would spend 1 or 2 days a week working from home,
Mm,
and 2 days was my maximum because I got like cabin fever. I
Mm.
I hated it. And the other thing, what it made me work longer hours because I used to get down to the laptop in the morning. I'd still be in my pajamas and my cornflakes, and I'd turn it on and I'd start to do a bit, and I'd barely leave the machine for hours,
mm,
and you'd still be on at 8 o'clock at night, still doing bits and pieces and watching
Mm.
the TV, still doing bits and pieces. It takes over your life a little bit. So I used to enjoy the office. The office is a place where you could mix and share ideas better because you were talking to people. You had a whiteboard next to you or whatever, and you could get ideas flowing, etc. And I always and that was when I hear it, people due to lockdown have done all their hours at home on laptops. I think it's they must be losing a lot by it in terms of interactions.
yeah, and that aspect, yeah, the interactions. I mean, the part that I see that was positive was, spending time with your family. But if you have some strife in the house, you might have issues of domestic violence or
Oh
alcoholism,
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
that
that.
could be.
You know,
Mhm.
I mean, in the cases where, you know, if people were having to spend like, 10, 12, 13, 14 hours in the office, that's also not good. But, the lack of interaction recently, and the mask is a big deal too, because we have lost the sight of looking at people's smiles, mate.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And I miss smiles, and it's like now when somebody kind of like takes it off, and I see their face for the first time. Like, you meet people now and you've never seen their face besides their eyes for like 3 or 4 months, and then suddenly one day like the pearlies
yeah.
come out and you're just like, blow me down, and so that yeah, we have lost that interaction, that connection. How are things going on in England now anyway? uh
Well, we've got fairly light restrictions at the moment, but there is a big feeling that even though the government is not imposing,
mm,
people are self-imposing. I mean, I one of the aspects which we tried to keep going through the lockdown was when we talk about art. Is I play the guitar and banjo, and I play in a folk group, and we
uh,
play every Thursday night in a club.
mm,
And the one of the problems was is we couldn't get together for many months. We tried to do it on Zoom, but if you all play together on Zoom, the sound just gets confused and it doesn't
yeah,
work. So what we did was we had a lead player on every tune, so and everybody would sit at home and play along. We did our best to do that.
mm,
Now we're supposed to be able to do what we like in terms of that, but still in my music group because I'm 62. I'm one of the younger ones, and the other guys who are like ladies as well, who are in their 70s,
mm.
are scared to venture out because of the new Omicron variant, etc. And
But isn't that supposed to be the weakest one? Sorry to
yes, it
interrupt.
is. But yeah, even though it's the weakest one, if you're 75 or 80,
Mm. Vulnerable.
You're still vulnerable. Yeah. So they have a fear of it, obviously, whether it's a genuine fear or not. They have a fear of it. So
Yeah.
we haven't got together for the last couple of weeks,
Hmm.
but yeah, the art side of it in terms of that. A lot of places have been closing in terms of hospitality. A lot of places are closing in terms of theatre, etc. We don't actually play for money or as a big gig.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if have you heard of the Irish term a session.
No, 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 no.
Okay, so a session is where people turn up to a room,
Uh,
they walk in with their instrument,
uh.
and you play together. It's called a session. It's generally in a pub or a
Free
club.
for all.
A jam session. Have you heard of that, Kate?
No, but I sort of understand what he's trying to say. So it's like a free for all with everybody bring your skills and let's see what comes out, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's generally led. So we have a collection of music, which so people can come along. In our group at the moment, I play the banjo or the guitar. We've got a guy who plays the accordion, a lady who plays the accordion, a couple of fiddle players, a couple of the strumming guitars, a guy on the baran, the Irish drum, and we play. We just walk in and we play music from England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, France. We don't play any Japanese. We play stuff from northern, like Quebec music. It's got a lot of adapted sea and Irish music from the sailors who used to travel from the sailors who were other fishing sailors and that sort of thing. There's also we play a little bit of South American music because we have a lady from Colombia. She comes along and brings some music now and again.
You do know I'm from Colombia.
Yeah. So Adriana is from Colombia as well, and we play some stuff from there. We find it difficult to being British musicians to get the rhythms right.
Yeah.
It is a challenge, but we do play a lot of stuff like that. I mean, we play Tico Tico, which is a Brazilian piece as well, and
yeah. Well, when you're talking about rhythm section, I'm sure you're aware of this, Kay. Latin American music, when it comes to the rhythm section, is a mixture of tribal drumming and African drumming.
Yes.
There's heavy African influence in our music.
In Brazil as well, places like Brazil, they talk about, they even use some Nigerian words in some of their things.
Yeah, in Puerto Rico, the salsa, in Cuba, they'll talk in African, different dialects from different countries, and because it's heavy. The rice and beans, the combination of the rice and beans, we got that from Africa.
Yeah.
That's why we eat rice and beans. It's not like because beans was not a staple for us, it was corn.
Yeah.
Maize is like in Japan, in Asia, it's rice, right? And for the Native Americans, maize is the god. Exactly. And here comes the Africans, and they bring these beans and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, we got this rice, and we mixed it. So it's interesting. So those rhythms that you're talking about, you kind of find it hard to, you got to have that African rhythm to get a good,
Interesting though. So when I was a little boy growing up in Leicester, I learned the classical guitar, and I used to be in my little bedroom in Leicester learning these pieces. And one of the pieces I used to learn was by a composer called Hector Villa-Lobos.
Hector Villa-Lobos.
Yeah, and he was a Brazilian composer. And he used to write, and in the 70s, there was a lot of guitar competitions, and they used to select a piece for you to play, and you would all go and play this piece, and they would say, who is the best, yeah? And I used to enter these competitions, and very often it was Villa-Lobos' preludes that used to be there for you to compete with. And I used to look at these pieces, and it'd say in the corner, written by Villa-Lobos in Rio de Janeiro in 1948. And I used to think, will I ever go to Rio de Janeiro? Will I ever get to Brazil, etc.? Well, in 1991, working for IBM, they said to
Mm.
me, we need somebody to go to Sao Paulo
Oh,
to work with IBM Brazil to educate them and train them in this new product, which we were dealing with in the UK.
uh,
So they said to me, would you like to go, Paul? And I said, yes, I would. So I got sent to Sao Paulo.
how
And
long did you stay there?
I was there in total, on and off, because I had a family. I used to do like 4 weeks and then come back, and then 4 weeks and come back. And I did 6 months in total actual time in Sao Paulo, working with Auto Latina, which was Volkswagen and Ford, Honda, Renault, but mainly with IBM Brazil.
Uh,
And two things happened. One was one of the guys there says, I'd like to invite you around to my house for tea because you're on your own here in Brazil. Would you like to come for tea with my family? And his name was Edson Tandelo Cruz. And I said, yeah, I'd love that, thank you. Very nice. And I walked into his house, and there on the wall was a guitar. And I said, oh, do you play the guitar? He said, oh, I tried to learn. I never quite got the hang, etc., etc. I said, could I borrow your guitar? And I sat down and I played Prelude Number 1 by Villa-Lobos. And he was absolutely
flabbergasted.
Yeah. And I was quite moved because I had actually played my guitar in Brazil, which is a dream I had as a little boy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then, about the second or third time I was there, they said to me, oh, we can organise a trip for you if you wish, where you paid $52. This is ridiculous. $52. You got on a bus in Sao Paulo. They drove to Rio de Janeiro. You stayed in a hotel on Ipanema Beach. In the evening, in the afternoon, they took you on the cable car up to Sugarloaf Mountain. And then you went to what they call the carnival on stage. Which
El carnaval with all the with the ladies, the birds with the big boobs and the feathers and okay. Oh,
they're so beautiful, those girls. And then
one of the biggest carnivals in the world, isn't it?
Well, it is, yes. We weren't there at carnival time, but you could see this show any time. It was all part of this package for $52. So we went to carnival on the stage, and then the next day we had a tour of the beaches, and we went to the Big Jesus up on the mountainside. Yeah.
We have one exactly like that one in Cali, Colombia.
Oh, right, okay.
It's not just in Brazil. We have one in Cali, where I was from, and you can see, but the one from Brazil, it's more epic, and it's really, really way high up there.
Yeah. But when you get up there, when I was there in 91, I think it was 92, it was 92, early 92, the conditions of people were cleaning the stuff down, they looked really poor. I thought they could do a much better job in terms of the tourism. But anyway, we came down, and on the second day, we were in a hotel, and a guy was playing a guitar in the foyer for us. And I said, could I have a go on the guitar? He goes, yeah, sure. And I played Villa-Lobos again. And so then I was playing Villa-Lobos in Rio.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
In Rio, after all those years, and amazing.
So how long?
Dreams come true, man.
Right. I mean, and that's amazing. I mean, I've never been to Brazil. I have a lot of Brazilian friends, and I do speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
I learned it through some friends of mine. And in Japan, there's a big, there's history between Japan and Brazil.
There is a massive Japanese community in Sao Paulo, and they went there in 1911. And
yes.
What happened in Japan, but it is the largest Japanese community outside of Japan. And what the guys, well, the people there did was they adopted Portuguese first names, but retained their Japanese second names.
Mm.
So I worked with Mauricio Miyake, and I worked with
Mauricio Miyake.
yeah, and I worked with Jorge Harada, and they were two
Harada.
guys who worked for Ford, who were Japanese but had adopted Portuguese names. And also, you got a lot of mix of the race. So Mauricio's wife was a Brazilian lady of Portuguese origin.
Yes.
So you've got this mixing of the race. And when you mix the race, you get beautiful kids.
Yeah, they look amazing. Well, here in Japan, there's also a very heavy Brazilian community. And yeah, because there's interaction. Like you said, that was back in the early 1900s, and they had to do around that time. There was great poverty in Japan, and so the government made deal through the had to do with the coffee plantations. There was work there made, and so the Japanese community migrated there, and now in Colombia we also have not as big as Brazil, but there's a big Japanese community there. And the one thing that the Japanese community is very well known and respected for in South America, at least in Colombia, I can't speak for Brazil because I haven't been to Brazil, but in Colombia, they're respected as the best farmers in the world, dude. Their fruits, anything that they make. For example, if you go to like a farmer's market out in Colombia and you say, yeah, these are Japanese fruits, everybody's like, ooh. Even though we have amazing fruit in Colombia, you can pretty much spit on the floor and you'll get a tree of spit. Yeah, you know, because that's how rich the soil is. And so the fruit's amazing, but there's just the focus and the care that goes into Japanese farming is amazing. And so they're famous for that. Yeah. And so there's a mutual exchange between that part of South America and Japan, and there's this community. And so when they come back from Colombia or from Brazil, those families come out here to live in Japan, they consider themselves Brazilians or Colombians, but like they look just like Japanese people, but they can't speak Japanese, mate. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So how long have you been playing the guitar, Paul?
Since the age of 8.
Take over from this. Take over, Kate. Take over on this one. I want to kind of sit back and hear a little bit about, because I myself play bass, so I want to hear a little bit more about your the guitar, how you came about it, what it means to you, how you can share that with others. Go ahead, take over, Kate.
I tell you what, I'll even do a little gig for you at the end of the podcast. I'll play up.
Yeah. You got something you want to ask him, Kate?
No, because I've got a point. I want to make a point about the socializing, but we want to hear about his guitar journey.
Okay, keep that over there. Yeah, tell me a little bit about your journey with the guitar. What turned you on to guitar playing? What guitar means to you right now? And maybe do you use your guitar in your art in a type of outreach? Have you ever gotten to make connection and influence young lads, with the music?
So I apparently, when I was very young, I was bought a toy guitar, and I was playing with this thing all the time. And my father was like he always wanted to learn an instrument, and he never did really. He had a go at things, but anyway, he saw me playing, so he decided that it'd be a good idea for me to learn the guitar properly. So in Leicester, there was a place called the Leicester School of Music, and we turned up there. I was 8 years old, and they put me with a teacher called Mr. Val. Mr. Val was Polish. He'd escaped from Warsaw as the Nazis invaded, and made his way to the UK. And he was from the Warsaw University. He was a violin player. And mandolin player, but there wasn't many classical guitar teachers around in the 1960s. It hadn't really taken off. There was a few famous people like John Williams and Segovia played, but it hadn't really taken off in the sense of being lots of guitar teachers about. It was obviously the rock guitar and that sort of thing, but not pure classical. But Mr. Val and me, as a little boy, worked together really well. And I worked my way through the grades, and I often think of it now that whereas you get kids today, they play their computer games, and they're trying to get to the next level, and they're playing away, and they play for hours and hours. It was similar for me with the guitar. I would see a piece of music, and it would be like a game. I'd want to be able to play the first line, and I'd learn the first line. And I think, okay, I need to play it without any mistakes. I'd try and
Yeah.
and then keep going. And I used to do crazy things like I had a stopwatch. I used to see how fast I could play something. So I'd set this stopwatch and I'd play. It would sound terrible, but I would get all the notes in. And it was like a game to me. So I think for me, growing up, I had facial problems. I was quite a private boy, I think, in a lot of ways. It was my hidden world, which I really enjoyed. So it was like I could go home and no matter how terrible anything else, I could pick up the guitar and I could play it. And so then I went, my journey then took me through guitar festivals, as I said, where you played against each other. And I was enjoying those until about the age of 14, 15. Then you get very self-conscious as a boy, don't you, in your team?
Like a guitar battle, like a face-off. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you all go on and you take it in turns to play the same piece. And then the judges would assess who played it the best.
Okay.
It was quite nerve-wracking because...
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I've never joined one of those. I just played like a battle of the bands or talent shows. And then, I played in a band, so we just kind of toured and stuff like that. Yeah. But those are definitely from our times, the rock off or the guitar off, where you just face each other. Okay, let me see what you got. You throw a lick and then you pass it on to the other. Kind of like dancing in the early 80s with breakdancing, where they would pop and stuff, kind of,
Sort of, yes. The thing was, it's very formal. So, and they were watched by people, like a crowd of people. And the thing with a classical guitar is you walk onto the stage, you only have your guitar and your footrest. No music, nothing. And you're expected to walk out there and play. And when you're young, you can do it because you are, you're fearless when you're young.
You're in a rock.
Yeah, exactly. When you get to your teens, you get more self-conscious.
I'm a bit aware of yourself.
Exactly, Kate. And I got nervous and more nervous and more nervous to the point where I didn't like entering them. I really didn't. And when I got to 18 and I left Leicester to go to Coventry, I left the guitar behind. I thought, I can't do this anymore. It's too terrible, It's too much stress. And so I didn't play until I was about 26. And my son was born. And when they're little, they have to sit in the bath. You have to sit on the toilet seat whilst they're in the bath to make sure they don't fall over and bang their head and drown. And I thought, this room is echoey. This bathroom. I ought to play some nursery rhymes. So I got my guitar from home, and my wife really know I played. I'd never played. I never really mentioned it. And all of a sudden, I was playing in 1986 again. And then I could play as a hobby. It was just like I had no commitments. If I didn't want to play, I didn't have to play. I hadn't got a festival coming up. I hadn't got an examination. I didn't have to devote hours and build up and think there's only 4 weeks to go. I was just playing, and I enjoyed it. And
it's important to be able to get some joy out of it. I think some people torment themselves too much with their instrument.
My job, I like to dissect things. So can I make an attempt at dissecting a bit of that story? So when you was young, you found that you didn't quite fit in with the rest of your peers in school. So you decided the music, the guitar was your expression, because that was your happy zone where you felt you was expressing, nobody was judging you, and you felt like you was adequate. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, absolutely.
So, but when you got into those competitions and you know how to stand in front of a stage, in front of people, that brought back memories of not fitting in again. And this was not your happy place anymore. It was not your place where you could just express without worrying about external pressures. Is that why you kind of stopped?
Yes, yes. I think it's a bit of self-consciousness, and it's
Hmm.
also the fact that also it's getting better, so things are getting harder. So you're playing tougher pieces as well. But yes,
Well,
you're right.
they're probably the expectations not only of yourself but of the people expected more of you, and that might have put pressure on you.
Yeah,
I
And
never
also,
had, yeah.
and also from the meanness of peers. People don't seem to understand this sometimes, but when you're growing up here, sometimes your peers could be your worst mental blocks in life, because
Yes.
when you don't fit in, they have a way of making you feel like you're never gonna fit in. If that makes sense.
yeah.
And
It does make
it could
sense.
be a thing of jealousy too, because
Yeah.
within your own friends, when somebody sees you succeed, you know it's usually your family or the ones closest to you that like to take a dump on your birthday cake.
Yes.
But it's hard for some people to pick themselves up and get inspired. The kind of music that I grew up listening to, which was rock. My uncle got me into rock through Pink Floyd and Black Sabbath, and when I first heard it, I was listening to Michael Jackson at the time, and I was listening to like breakdance music and stuff like that. But I was really into the music. I was listening to Kenny Rogers, and I remember going over my uncle's house one day, and he was lighting up a doobie. I didn't even know what a doobie was back then, but he was sparking it up. And then my mom found a stash. She went into his room and found this box, and I thought it was like tea leaves, and she dumped it all into the toilet, and my uncle had a fit. And while they were arguing, Black Sabbath came on. And when that first chord hit in, like dun dun dun, it just blew me away. I was like, this is my calling. And so going back to, we're talking about the lads, those that are closer to us, sometimes
Mhm.
are our worst critics. Sometimes is to inspire us, but sometimes is very malicious in nature. And for me, the kind of music that inspired me to play, actually, when I got that energy from people and the cake, people stomping on my cake, it just
Mhm.
made me want to play some more. Like, okay, I'm gonna prove you prove you wrong. But it's not the case like that for everybody. And music seemed to be a very special thing for you, Paul.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. I
Pressure.
mean, I now. So what happened was, I went to a folk club and I saw a guy playing a banjo, and I
Hmm.
thought, oh, that's interesting. I could have a go at that, and I bought myself a very cheap banjo, and I found a little music group, this session,
Hmm.
and suddenly I found actually I could play in a group of people who appreciated what I was playing, no
Mm.
pressure. You can have a good old chat because it's a social thing as well as a music thing. You're not really
Mm.
performing; you're sitting in a more of a circle, and you're having a chat. And I found some like-minded people who are, they like same sort of things as me, etc. And it became no pressure whatsoever. We do gigs now and again. We do gigs for charity. We never charge anything because we have to pay tax anyway. It gets too complicated, so we just don't
Bother with.
charge. Yeah, but it's lovely because I can go there. I can have a beer, I can have a chat. It's,
And it's
the
food for your
music's
soul.
there. It's good. Yeah,
It's food to the soul.
yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
So I've been
That's nice how you just said it. And I like the way you dissected that, Kate. You make, because I was falling in love with the music. Like, he could just talk to me music all day, and I'm like, yeah, Paul, so you played this, but you hit a good point. And before you came up with that point, I had thought about that. Oh, it's he doesn't feel the pressure anymore. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people, they build, they
It
put
made him
so
feel.
much pressure, they take the joy out of it, and they get too conscious, and now you found those people that are like-minded, and it becomes what the whole purpose of it is to what? To play some music.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if we make a mistake, it's generally we have a good laugh about it, or so we
Yeah.
don't. If
No,
I
that's where it's gone. No pressure. It's all fun and games now.
Yeah. Hey, what were you gonna say about socialization, mate?
So I've picked up because there's a lot of social talk that we've covered today.
Mm.
So I've realized, you know, when you socialize with your family, there's a bit of a bias, isn't there? There's more emotion involved, and old tribes that used to hang out with their families, it was a bit of an emotional bond. There was a lot of bias. There was a lot of we'll give him the benefit of doubt. But the moment human beings started to expand and start exploring and socializing with other families, that's when it became less emotional and more intellectual. Because now you start to see competencies of other people, skills of other people, and you find ways you can learn and mix and match your skills with their skills. So, you know, like the days when there was kings where they used to call the courts, the classic courts. Yes. Everybody would find
the feudal days.
Yes, but it led to a sort of intellectual enhancement because it was not emotional. It was all based on capabilities and what you was appropriate for. So what's happened nowadays, what I've noticed, with the social media, because we're not hanging out with our families anymore, we're expanding beyond our families. We can interact with people in Brazil, America, China. So human beings have started to become a bit more intellectual because of this expanded social thing. So I don't know, maybe if this whole COVID thing is because human beings are becoming more aware, and it's like almost, we need to slow them down a bit. So stay inside your house and get emotional again. Don't go out there and interact with the whole world where you get smarter, you know?
I think there could be a little bit too, but there's also a drawback to that. We may be getting more intellectual, but we're losing less contact with people around us, like actual interactions. And well, part of beyond being intellectual, part of being a human being is having that emotional experience. But when I'm talking about emotional experience, it's not like going on some emotional rhapsody, but to be able to mature through our emotions, you know, that we don't necessarily control them, but that we're not overwhelmed by them either. And the only way to the only way to master that, I believe, and let me know if I'm wrong, is through interaction with each other. Because one thing is getting on here on a computer and we're talking, we're still interacting. But when you're in front of somebody and you feel and you see their presence, you smell them, you see their clothes, the way they move, that all affects not only our minds, but the way we feel with each other. And we're forced to deal with each other, whether it be ignoring each other, but we're forced to be with that energy of maybe I'm upset with you, or maybe I'm happy with you. And we're forced to deal with that to either make it better or grow out of it, whatever. There's an experience we learned from that. Whereas in here, we learn something from it, but there's not that same feeling.
Because like you said, it's not emotional. You can only get emotional from your family because, like I said, with the family, there's a bias. Where you're not good at football, your mom's going to tell you you're good at football.
Well, it depends on what parents, because some parents will be telling you you're shite.
If your family's acting right, they're meant to encourage you. They're meant to encourage you despite what you're showing. So the only mode where you're going to get encouragement, even when you're not performing, is from your family.
Yes.
That's why you need your family for emotional growth. Intellectual growth, get it from outsiders, because outsiders will tell you what they see in you. They won't lie. They won't sugarcoat it. If you're good at football, they'll say you're great. If you're rubbish, they'll say you're crap. Or they won't choose you for the team, so you know you're crap. You know? But your family, because they care about your feelings, they'll put you on the team, even though they know they're going to lose because of you. So your emotional growth comes from your family, those that love you. Your intellectual growth comes from those that don't really love you, but they're just there to interact and see what you can benefit from each other. That's where the brain grows. The emotion grows from family love.
Yeah. That's a good point. What do you think about that, Paul?
Yeah, I suppose there's a lot in that, because as a father, you do overly gush sometimes of, oh, that's wonderful what you've done there, really
Mm.
good. And what you do see a lot is,
Well,
I don't know, I mean, it came from Japan, this karaoke idea.
uh,
But you see a lot where families go, oh, Amy's a fantastic singer. You watch her go up and sing. And it's a bit like we have a thing called Britain's Got Talent, and they can't sing at all. But they've been like brainwashed by their families. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
our cat, she's a fantastic singer. And they go on and they're singing, thinking,
she,
this
she,
is
she,
awful.
yeah, she shows up to the stage and it sounds like a cat being beat up in a bag.
And there's, and there's grandma
mum,
going, oh, isn't she
I'm
wonderful?
good.
You go. But no, that's a good point. It can go both ways though, mate. If you don't have a good family unit, uh, that those emotions that develop could be negative emotions. And so when
Yeah,
you do go out, you have mistrust, and the way you interact, the way you deal with those people in the outside world will be influenced by the way you grew up in the home.
yes,
Because
yes,
if you can't really trust those at home, you won't really trust those out there either. And so, yeah, we'll see what this further development of the macaroni 19. That's what I call it. I call it instead, because if you say COVID nowadays,
the
Okay.
flood.
or corona, so because macaroni sounds close to corona, I call it macaroni 19.
Okay.
And then the which one was the other one, the one that came out after that? The
Omicron.
No, that's the one that came out, the Delta variant.
Oh yeah, Delta.
Yeah, I
Yes.
call that lasagna with extra cheese because that really messed you up. you know, but yeah, that's some good stuff we heard. Real quick though, man. So you said something about that bloke, the teacher, escaping from Warsaw. Was this during the Cold War or during World War II, mate?
World War Two.
Okay.
World War Two. We had a lot of Polish people come over um, just before and during the war who had escaped and came over to live in the UK. There was a large Polish community in Leicester, and he came to live in Leicester with his wife. Well, he married his wife after he got to Leicester,
Mm,
and he had some fantastic stories about where he went back to try and after the war, Poland was starving before everything, and he went back to try and help convoys and things. A marvelous man, and part of the um, he was such a good teacher because he told you stories and he kept you going. And it, when you're learning to play anything or do anything, you have dips, big
mm.
dips, and he would keep me going and say, "Okay, we'll try this different way, and we'll do this other thing." And he had lots
Origin.
of ways of describing things. So he was a great guy, and he was one of the reasons I kept going, even when a lot of people actually stopped learning. A lot of people are learning for a year and then stop. I kept
Mm.
learning.
Well, we're coming close to unfortunately, because we can keep talking and talking. So we're coming close to an end. So why don't we do this? Mr. Paul, you can leave us with a message that you might want to tell people that is relevant now, maybe to an inspiring or encouraging message based off your experience, your life experience. And then can you throw upon us a bit of the melody, mate? Can you bring
Yeah.
out the axe? You gotta get the axe, mate. You gotta play some guitar for us
I
just to
haven't got
send
my
us off properly.
I haven't got my classical guitar because that's upstairs, but I've got this one. This is quite appropriate because it's a Yamaha. I'm talking to somebody in Japan.
Ooh. So that's a steel string.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I might get my classical because it's better.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. And then you can
Sure.
you can come up with a nice little message that you can bequeath.
Give me 2 minutes.
And blessed with.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to. I like the way you got that tactician. You're standing in the background, did it, and then you come in and just hit it from the side. That was awesome, bro.
Gathering data and I'm processing.
Yeah. Now you got to, man. I love the way you think, bro. You definitely bring out something in me too, and all our guests that we have on. Um,
Mm.
it's just unexpected too. It just come up with these unexpected questions like, "What the hell, dude?" Yeah, that was good. That was good. I love it. He's got some interesting stories, man. It's
Yeah,
just,
he does. Yes.
and here's the thing: it's just, it's simple. It's people, if people realize that within each room, each walls, everybody's going through a struggle. Everybody's got a life.
Yes.
Everybody worked. Everybody had some experiences that they went through as a teenager. You know, it's, we're more similar than we have, and this
They're different.
socialization actually creates too many differences. I think it's going to come back down to us getting back to the tribes, mate. It's going to get tribal again.
Yes. So we can grow emotionally. So we
Yes,
can grow,
yes.
lost that emotional growth.
Because now we're just pissed off babies, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, check out Paul, dude. He's gonna play some guitar.
So I think the guitar says something, is that there are a lot of skills which you can pick up when you're young, which you
Mm.
may discard for a while and then reuse them, such as the bull worker. So I bought it when I was young. It got
Mm.
discarded for a while. Now it is doing me wonders. After getting so fit when I was a van driver delivery, the bull worker, picking that up and using it and joining our group, has maintained my fitness. I think
Amen.
guitar as well. I learned it when I was young. I left it for a long while, and then I picked it up again, and I love it more. Both of those things more than ever when I first bought them. So
Mm.
whatever you're doing now, for a young guy, you may think, I'm going to give this up for a while. Try and keep it in the back of your mind what you did. Try and remember and keep it, because you may want to reuse it in the future, and you may get much more pleasure out of it in the future than you ever did when you were younger.
Yeah, seeds take a while to grow.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's
There you
beautiful.
So,
Okay, Paul, here we go.
can you see it? Can you
And
see
here's
it?
Mr. Paul. He's gonna play some guitar for us. Let's hear it.
Oh, this guitar was bought for me by my father in 1971.
Oh, I wasn't even born there then, Paul. I was born in '72.
Hey, no.
There you
That's
go.
Yeah.
amazing. Ah, dude, that is so awesome.
Let's put
That's pretty good.
Well,
good
there you go.
hands.
Okay, well, okay, you take over. You know, leave us
Okay.
with some love. Give us some of your wisdom that we so
Okay.
long thirst.
2 points. The two powerful points they are picked up is to socialize. Socialize, because what do they tell us? There is strength in numbers. Divided we fall, united we stand. You get a single branch of a tree, it snaps. You get a bunch of them, you can't snap it. So we're stronger the more we are together, the happier we shall be. And the other thing is encouragement. When you see somebody on their journey coming up, instead of telling them or pointing out their flaws to them, which is going to increase their insecurities, what you need to do is encourage them. Like the great Costamado did to Mike Tyson. He encouraged him all the way through. You're a
Yeah.
champion. You're going to be the best in the world. Nobody's as fast as you. I've never seen anything like you. And this encouragement is the emotional growth, the confidence, that fortitude. It's one of the best motivators out there. Encouragement.
Yeah. Yes.
I
Well,
want to leave us with that message. Let's socialize in a peaceful way and let's encourage each other to move forward.
beautiful. Well, Mr. Paul, it's been awesome having you. Hopefully, one day we'll get together and we can do a little workout again, all three of us. You know,
Yeah.
we'll get a little Zoom workout, right?
That'd be
And
good.
well, when we load this up, it should be ready by tomorrow. We'll send you the link and share it with your friends. You know, if you know anybody with an interesting story, a tale to tell, you know, and that we can keep on learning, because the tale goes on and on and on.
Yes.
And so, like always, we make some friction through relationships, through encouragement, through socializing, and after a while we tend to get a little heat and a little light, so that we can bear that light to shine upon the world. Peace and
Amen.
love, guys. All right.
Bye.
Love you, man. Bye, Paul.
Love. Great episode, Paul.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you can go ahead and click off as I finish up with Kay.
Right, no problem.
Great day, Paul.
Okay, cheers, mate.
Mhm.
All right, that was cool, man. It started
That was
off kind of like, oh, and then people got stories, mate. People got stories, and it's some of them are similar,
Mhm.
but the variety, even within those similarities, are intense, mate. And you
Yes.
get little snippets of where you can travel back in time with him. You know, he's talking about 1971, mate. I wasn't even born in 1971.
Imagine that. Same here.
When were you born, dude?
85.
85? Ah, dude. Yeah, you were born before my brother. Yeah. So
It's my birthday on New Year's Day.
were you still in Nigeria back then, mate?
No, I was born in Italy.
Ah, you were born in Italy?
Yeah.
I don't think you told me that, dude.
Yeah, it's probably the first time I mentioned it.
Bambino. That's gotta be another show. You gotta tell me about
My
that.
birthday on the 1st of January.
Did you ever see black and white TV?
Yes.
I grew up on black and white, mate.
Yes, when I was young, when I was very young, there was still a lot of black and white TVs. Even the color TVs were quite crap then.
Yeah, they were there because they were barely. I remember. They were barely like developed yet.
When you have to, when you have to put the metal hanger, the clothes hanger.
Yeah,
that's the aerial.
when your antenna was busted, right?
Yeah.
You put the hanger in the.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you really wanted to go crazy on it, you put the hanger and then add some aluminum foil.
Yeah, start getting creative. Start getting a strong signal.
Yeah, right. Or just give it one smack and the TV went tweet.
Yeah, kids nowadays know nothing about these things,
No. And it's those struggles, hearing from those from generations similar to ours, hearing those struggles that a lot of the generations now don't know and appreciate. Like a television back then was a big deal, mate.
It was.
Now you have access to media anywhere you go, and so I think that the quality of the art and everything has decreased because of that, because there's such an oversaturation. But I think we can leave that for another section, mate.
Yes.
And that's a good point. So the seed's taken a while to grow.
I was talking to someone yesterday. That's why when he said that, when he hit that point, it really touched me. I was saying, when me and someone was talking yesterday, I was like, listen, if you give someone advice today and he doesn't listen to you, don't get upset with him, because it might be 10 years later that advice is going to do something for him.
Well, I need to learn that with my son, bro, because I can be a little bit. So that just inspired me, because, I'm hoping that my kids' life will be better. And I think sometimes because we're old school. And sometimes, I remind you too, and you remind me, and that's a good one. That's right. Sometimes the seeds take a while to grow. You might not see the fruit today. So I'll take that as a lesson today and apply it.
But best believe that they've got the data in their head. Whatever you said is in their head. They're just not ready to apply.
Well, it's not ready. It's not ready to grow. And I will walk away with that point today and apply it from now on. So,
amen. And same me too.
Yeah. I think what it is too is that we're concerned parents, but sometimes we need to also remember how we were. You know, our parents, our grandparents, they threw a bucket of seeds in our heads, and it was just like, huh?
We just proud. We want to be proud of our kid, so we want him to be the best right now, so I can show him off. That's what it is. I want him to be the best, so I can take him out. Look at my son; he's the best. But while he's not that upset, you know, we just want to be proud of them, innit?
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That's what it is, mate. Well,
so we want instant results. We want it now. I want to take you out now. I want to show you off right now.
So take you out.
Program, you know what I mean?
Put this skirt on, bitch. I want to see you. I want to dance you and take you out to the town.
Might not finish product for another 10 years.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one, man. And it's nice that we can learn from each other like this. Well, mate, let's leave it like that. I'll go ahead and this will, you know, I'll send you a message. All right.
Yeah.
And like always, I love you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And we can get the other bloke on for next time.
Yeah, Mark Black, he's ready. He's waiting for the date.
Awesome. Okay, I'll send you a message and we'll send the date. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Cheers, mate. Big hug.
Cheers.
Okay. Lots of love.
Yes.
Bada bing, bada boom, and we're out.